press, I would request that if people are going to ask questions, that they could use the microphone. Thank you.
All right.
There you go.
Well,
You don't have to.
no, the chairs are pretty tight. I think people crawling all over each other, if not necessary, can be avoided. But you raise your hand, yeah?
Where are we going to see another episode of Straw and Head?
Hellboy 3 will come sooner. I suspect never.
All right. That's too bad.
Over there?
So at the start of the Q&A, I might as well ask, I guess you've been interested in art for a while. How did you get your start? What was your first publication? For the new, for the audience like me.
I will refer you to my website. I started in 82, 83. I was a really terrible inker for Marvel Comics. And I then became, because I was such a terrible inker, and have no skills of any kind, you know, my editor at Marvel said, why don't you try drawing this stuff? It's a little backwards, but you know, he had more confidence in me as an artist than I had in myself. So since I had absolutely nothing to lose, I became a terrible penciler for Marvel Comics, and then kind of slowly crawled my way up to becoming, you know, a halfway decent penciler and getting a few better jobs. And then after 10 years in the business, I kind of figured a few things out and had some weird comics-related, movie-related experiences, and I thought, well, what am I going to do now? Because I'm not big on repeating myself, and I thought, I was at a point in my career where I thought, okay, I could probably do another Batman book, I could do another Alien book. You know, I knew that I could get certain jobs, but I thought, instead of repeating myself, why don't I try something I haven't done and take all the stuff I really like and cobble it into one thing. So I made up Hellboy and fully expected to do one Hellboy book. Nobody would buy it. And then I would, you know, link back to DC or Marvel and do the Batman or Wolverine or whatever. But it worked out. And the beauty of what I did with Hellboy was, instead of trying to make up a commercial comic, because around the same time, you know, the Image guys had said, you know, why don't you do something for us? I thought briefly about trying to make up some kind of commercial sort of Batman-esque thing, but I thought, my luck, I'll spend a year drawing this thing, I'll hate drawing it, and I'll be the first guy to work for Image and never make a dime. So I thought, well, if I'm going to roll the dice and make up something, let me make up something I really like. Because then if it doesn't make a dime, at least I've got something before I limp back to drawing film issues of the Defenders. I'll have something on the shelf where I'll be able to say, at least once I did something that, you know, reflected my interest. And so, you know, and it's a good lesson. You know, if you're gonna try to do something, and you're gonna take that kind of shot, make it something you like. Because if it works, then you're stuck doing the book that you love doing. So I'm the poster boy for getting away with murder, because Hellboy was my dream job.
Okay, I was just wondering if okay. I was just wondering, like, what were your biggest conflicts, or if there were any, with making a movie? If you had any like disputes or like anything with like how it was portrayed or anything.
That's a long conversation that I've had with my therapist. There are so many conflicting emotional things that go on with a movie. When I met Guillermo del Toro, one of the first things I said to him was, listen, I'm not one of those guys who's obsessed with you doing the film faithful to the comic. I've done the comic, I've done my version of it. Guillermo already I knew was a really interesting filmmaker. It was much more important to me that he make the best movie he could and make his version of the movie, because he's got a personality. I mean, there's a lot of real nothing white bread directors out there, and Del Toro certainly isn't one of them. So I said, I'd rather see a really cool, weird Del Toro picture than you not following your instincts and making just a copy of what I did. That said, and I worked on the film with him for off and on for years, and then when we got to pre-production, I worked with him for a solid 3 months designing the picture. It's very strange, and it's very strange when you're helping a guy change what you did into something he's doing. So when you come up with an idea and you say, let's do this, and he goes, no, and you go, dude, it's Hellboy. I'd be able to make it this if I want to. And, but he was making it for a different audience. He was making it for a wider audience. And I had to keep reminding myself, my version of it is over here. My version of it, to me, the real version of it, is in the books. And the second picture was even stranger because the first picture was kind of him taking my character and asking me all the way along, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and he wanted my blessing. I didn't have much veto power. I did bribe him out of one scene that he was going to put in. So we don't see Hellboy arrive on Earth in a giant crib. So I paid him I gave him 2 pages of his favorite Hellboy story to not put that in the screen. But that first picture was very much him making that character his. So then when we did the second picture, that character was his. So there was less of him asking me because he already knew what his Hellboy would do. And you see the second picture deviates radically from the Hellboy of the comic. Because by the end of the first picture, he owns those characters. And there's a lot of stuff in the second picture I didn't want him to do. I tried to talk him out of it. He's a stubborn guy. He's going to do what he's going to do. And at the end of the day, I recognized that his thing was going in a completely different direction than mine, which again is fine because they are two separate things. And the plus side is a heck of a lot more people know this character. I'm going through security at the airport yesterday, and I'm chatting with some woman in a business suit, and it comes up, what do you do? I do this thing, Hellboy. I can guarantee you, this woman's never been in a comic book store, but she goes, oh, Hellboy. So it's great that people know who this character is. The thing that you have to wrestle with is they'll never know what the real version of it is. So, but at the same time, a lot of people who will see the movie will hopefully discover the comics. So there's all kinds of things that you have to wrap your brain around. But ultimately, it's a good experience. It probably would have been a horrible experience with a different director, but I got very lucky on that one. Microphone?
Yeah, my question is how pleased were you with the performances of the different actors who played Abe and Red and Liz and everybody, as far as their performance, their interpretation of your characters brought to the screen?
Well, again, it's really hard to be objective at all about anything in the film. I mean, as soon as a friend of mine suggested, that Ron would be perfect to play Hellboy, I knew he was right. And when I first met Guillermo, the first thing we said to each other is, I think I walked into the room in a restaurant, he was still sitting down, and he said, I know who should play Hellboy. And I said, yes, so do I. And we kind of looked at each other, and we both said, Ron Perlman. The rest of the breakfast was really easy. All the other casting things were his. I had one suggestion for Rasputin, which he didn't follow, and I still think my Rasputin would have been better.
Could you indulge?
It was Jordan Prochnower, I think his name is.
Oh, Jürgen Prochnow.
Jordan Prochnower.
Yeah,
Das Boot.
Dune.
Yeah. And I just thought he was great, and I knew they could have gotten him for $1. This is going on the internet, But he was out of the public eye. He was doing a lot of smaller pictures, and I don't know exactly why. I mean, there was a different choice for. He had a first choice for Rasputin, who we ended up not getting, and Carl Roden was great. Carol Roden. But it wasn't quite the Rasputin I had in mind. But other than that, I had no real say or